Okay, let's talk about this Gibson Randall Smith firing thing, shall we?
Just play the damn thing.
So if you're watching this video, you have likely already heard that Randall Smith, the founder of Mesa Boogie, you know, the OG Mesa Boogie guy, the guy that's designed all the Mesa Boogie amplifiers that we have all come to know and love over the years, unfortunately has parted ways with Mesa Boogie / Gibson. The official statement from Gibson regarding Randall's, regarding the split didn't really indicate anything. You know, it was pretty vague, to be honest. So I'm not even going to waste any time in this video talking about that. It didn't. You know, it was a basic. We thank we've parted ways. We thank Randall for his contributions to to the industry, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know. Basically, gave him the respect that he was, they felt he was due, and he was, and that was it. Magazine articles, Premier Guitar, Guitar World, etc., etc. The only indication that those articles were giving were that some sources, people high up, high up within Mesa Boogie, all said, we kind of knew this was, this day was gonna come. We've been preparing for it, etc., etc. So. However, it's been the rumor mill that other people that have confirmed through their contacts and their anonymous contacts within Mesa Boogie that Randall Smith was in fact fired. Maybe that was the case, maybe it wasn't. I'm not sure. And frankly, I'm kind of on the fence. I don't really know which to believe. Forgive me if I'm not speaking up and as enthusiastic as I normally am. I'm getting over COVID, and this current strain of COVID that's going around absolutely kicked my ass this week. I was running a fever of 102 at one point. I haven't had a fever like that since I was a teenager. Brutal. Anyway, in the corporate world, when one corporate entity buys out another, it is not uncommon at all for the leadership. Particularly the primary decision maker of the company, of the brand being acquired. In this case, that would be Randall Smith, as Mesa Boogie were the ones being acquired when Gibson acquired Mesa Boogie about 3.5 years ago on January 6th, 2021. Yes, we know that's not the only significant thing that took place in the news that day. There's generally an agreement that the leadership of the company being acquired will stay on for for a period of time, usually for a few years, in a consultative role of some kind, or in this case, basically just keep doing what you're doing. There's a couple things that I have to believe. There's been speculation that maybe Randall Smith retired, which frankly makes sense. He's been doing this for 55 years. He's had a hell of a career. He's made a hell of an impact on this industry, arguably more than anybody else, at least for over a longer period of time. He's 80 years old. He's been doing this since he was 25. Mesa Boogie started out as a parts company, I think in 1969. Working, he started it, out of an old, it was an old dog kennel that he started Mesa Boogie out of as a parts company. If you're able to track down really old like Mesa Mark, Mesa Mark II C plus combos and stuff like that, a lot of them will have like Fender speakers and stuff in them, Jensen speakers and Fender speakers and stuff, because again, they were a parts company. I got to assume that the thought of retirement had crossed his mind a time or two before this past week. Now, again, could he have been forced out and kind of help, they made the decision for him? Very possible. Very possible. I'm not saying that didn't happen. Based on rumors from anonymous sources within Mesa Boogie, sounds like that may be what happened. Again, I don't know. I hate to speculate, and I sure hope that that's not what happened. But then here's the thing that I have not heard anybody talk about. Everybody's blaming Gibson, and this is the point. This is the reason why I wanted to make this video. Everybody's pointing fingers at Gibson and calling them the bad guy, and and I get it, but let's not forget, they're not at the top of that corporate ladder, that corporate food chain anymore. And that whole Gibson umbrella, Gibson are not the be all end all. They're now owned by an investment company. That investment company is called KKR. KKR acquired Gibson in 2018, I believe it was. When they filed a $500 million bankruptcy, or whatever that was back then. And Henry Juskowitz, the former CEO, was forced out. When Henry was forced out, through the legal system, and the courts decided, a judge somewhere decided you're going to be acquired, by an investment firm, in this case KKR. However that works, I'm not a corporate attorney, I don't know, but that's how that was the end result. Major leadership changes within large companies, especially corporately owned companies, do not happen without approval from the folks at the top. I'm not sure this was Gibson's call. I am not sure that this came down from J.C. Curley. I'm not sure it came down from anybody in Gibson. I'm willing to bet that the decision came from KKR, and it was based strictly on numbers. There's no loyalty in corporate America anymore, if there ever was. And if they saw in their spreadsheets that they could increase their bottom line somehow, some way, by sending Randall Smith on his way, guess what they're going to do? They don't care about feelings. They don't care about the guitar community and how we might feel about it. Trust me, there's no loyalty within corporations. And I'm quite sure Randall Smith was well aware that this may happen the minute that he signed that contract to sell Mesa Boogie to Gibson / KKR. So, before we go pointing the fingers at Gibson, calling them the bad guy, I'm not real sure that they are actually the bad guy. Like I said, there's this great big huge entity that's involved in this situation called KKR, and they are responsible for a lot of decisions like this. Why? Because they did not spend millions and millions of dollars to acquire Gibson for them to just simply operate autonomously and sit back. Hey, you guys just keep doing what you're doing. We'll be over here if you need us. That ain't what happened. That's not what's happening. Not at all. They want to know where their money is. They want to know where it's going, and they want to know how they can make more of it. And first and foremost, pay off their debt. And the other goal of those giant investment firms is to get companies in a better financial position so they can resell them one day. And that's their ultimate goal. That's why they're called investment companies. They're not called buy them up and see what they do companies. They're called investment companies. They expect a return on their investment, and they generally want it sooner rather than later. So while I am as sad as anybody else to see Randall Smith go, and I truly am, though I'm also happy for him that he's finally getting the opportunity to go enjoy retirement, which he has absolutely earned. But in this context, while I'm as sad to see him go as I am, as anybody else, I think we should pump the brakes a little bit on blaming on pinning the blame on Gibson. Before, because let's wait for some more information to come out, because I'm not real sure that they're the bad guy here. I think it might be the big boss that's the bad guy here. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Adios.